I'm so curious what led you to take on this issue. What do you think Washington can do about decades of sexism in the tech industry?
Well, first of all, thank you, Emily. I know you've done a lot of work in this area, and I've heard you on previous shows commenting on this issue. So the numbers are stunning here, as Sally Krawcheck in your earlier recording demonstrated. The billions of dollars going out the door every year from venture capital firms to fintech startups. I think it's less than 2% go to women. 1% perhaps go to Black entrepreneurs, less than 2% to Latinx founders. So the numbers are just stunning to see that the bulk of this money never reaches any minority or women founders. So we had this problem years ago in the banking industry. They used to have redlining, and this is sort of a redlining what they're doing here. So back in the day, a lot of banks would never invest in those redlined areas. Largely, they were minority areas. And so what Congress did back then was we passed the Community Reinvestment Act. And one of the things we did was we created a scorecard, a report card that allowed depositors and investors to realize how that institution was doing in terms of their investment in minority areas, because that's something that socially we thought was the right thing to do. So I think what we need to do is the same thing with venture capital. I think we need to give them a scorecard. I think the SEC needs to track how well inclusionary measures are adopted by these VC firms so that women and minority founders can participate.
Interesting. Sally Krawcheck, longtime former banking executive, founder now of a company called Ellevest, also testified at the hearing today. We pulled a portion of her testimony. Take a listen to what she had to say.
The real issue is that few fintechs center on women's needs, a direct result of women entrepreneurs starved of funding. As a result, your women constituents invest less of their money than men do, losing out on historic market returns and costing them hundreds of thousands, for some women millions of dollars over the course of their lives. And it's one reason why the gender wealth gap is at 32 cents to a white man's dollar and 1 penny for Black women, and it's been widening.
In hearing the personal stories of some of these founders, Congressman, what was most alarming to you about what you heard today?
Well, I think that how hard and we had several successful startup entrepreneurs that came before the committee, and hearing how hard they had to work and going to 30 different interviews and basically begging for investment in their products. You could see how hard they had to fight to break through. And that not only denied them the opportunity, but they had great ideas. They had great substantive ideas that actually were a great benefit to society in general. So we've got to find a way to break through or just make these VC companies more aware of what's out there. Oftentimes they're supporting hundreds of different ventures, hoping that one of them might be successful. Yet in that process, they're totally ignoring many of the viable substantive proposals made by women and minority founders.
Silicon Valley has made some progress since Silicon Valley's own version of the Me Too movement. Now, 5 years ago, I wrote about this in my book, Brotopia, Breaking Up the Boys Club of Silicon Valley. But obviously, I think most people would agree, not enough progress certainly has been made. I know Congresswoman Maxine Waters, the chair of the Financial Services Committee, made a surprise appearance today. Would you say that there is broad consensus across Congress that more diversity in the financial technology sector is critical?
I think so. We had a bipartisan hearing today. I welcomed the comments of my Republican colleagues, Mr. Davidson of Ohio and Mr. Stile from Wisconsin, both staunch Republicans, conservative, but they realized that this is good for business by including those ideas, and they acknowledged that the work of some of our minority founders who were testifying today was very, very important to the industry at large. And so, that's diversity is good for the economy as well as a social good.